Hello, hello. This is Patty Jo. How are you doing today? Let's continue with our clowning on Darrell without forgetting the tragedy that he caused. But let's take a look at what he's got to say. Let's see how he treats the girls. I think there's a female coming up. And I think the way he treats the females are far different.
The record appearances are as they were before. State may call its next, well, actually, we'll bring the jury in and then you may call its next witness. Seem to like to want to do that these days. All right, have the jury brought back out, please.
I'll stay very briefly for the record now.
Oh, God, please.
We still have yet to address the subject matter jurisdiction. Will that be addressed at some point?
Mr. Brooks, that's a frivolous matter. We've already addressed that. I direct your attention to the Beneby decision, United States versus Beneby, found at 654 F 3rd 753. So I have addressed it.
Darrell in his ill-fitting suit.
Is that a judicial determination?
Yes!
If you want to address the subject matter jurisdiction?
Okay. It is a judicial determination that she has addressed it, but you don't like her answer. He's like a child. Like a child.
The record stands, Mr. Brooks.
The record stands, Mr. Brooks.
Would a verified statement of particulars by affidavit be addressed?
Particulars. My understanding of that is like a statement about the details of what they're accusing him of. Statement of particulars. And I'm not sure how that assists him, so lawyers can chime in if anybody's out there with
tacit agreement.
Tacit. Tacit is not the word. I think it's tacit. And from what I understand of that, and can correct me if I'm wrong, and like if the other person doesn't say anything, then they're just agreeing to it. But when she does that to him later on, like when he refuses to answer the colloquies or whatever they're called, he doesn't like it when it's turned, and when the tables are turned, he cherry picks all right. Darrell cherry picking for real at the beginning of this, huh?
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Attorney Upper, the state may call its next witness.
Thank you. The state will call Officer Schneider.
I believe this is a female officer. So let's see how Darrell handles
Officer,
that.
if you please make your way to the witness stand. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record, and then spell each.
Okay. My name is Sonia Schneider. Sonia is Sonia. Schneider is Schneider.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Officer Schneider, how are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the City of WAUKESHA Police Department.
How long have you worked in law enforcement?
A little over 3 years now.
And were you working on the date of November 20, 2021? I'm sorry, November 21, 2021.
My guess, based on what she's wearing, because she's wearing the vest, is that she's working today. But let's see what she has to say, because you know it's coming up.
What were your duties that day?
And she's got a radio.
My duties were to secure the parade.
So the last witness did not have a radio, did not have a vest, so he was wearing like a more formal uniform because he was on vacation and had come in. But I'm thinking, we'll see if I'm right.
Parade route and then provide traffic and pedestrian control.
So she
Were
was
you
assigned to the
a specific
parade.
location?
Yes, I was to be the intersection of East Main Street and Northeast Avenue.
And was that your post throughout the entire event?
It was.
Do you remember about what time you arrived at that location?
I believe it was around 3 p.m.
Okay. And when you got there, what were your responsibilities? Or what did you do?
We closed down traffic from Buckley to Northeast and put up barricades.
Okay. And were you dressed in a police uniform that day?
I was dressed as I am right now.
And did you also have on a fluorescent vest?
I did.
Okay. And that lettering on that vest read police?
Yes.
Okay. At some point during the parade, was your attention drawn to a vehicle described as a red SUV?
It was.
How was your attention drawn to that vehicle?
Well, initially, we heard a call come out in the area of Frame Park about a potential man-knife fight. And then shortly after, I heard radio traffic about a vehicle going through the barricades or past the barricades.
What action, if any, did you take?
I was standing next to Officer Buttrin. He began to move forward, and as I observed the red SUV coming towards Officer Buttrin and not stopping, I ran forward to also try to intercept the vehicle.
What did you do?
I positioned myself right in front of the SUV for about a moment and tried to direct the vehicle off to Buckley, which would be to the right of the roadway.
Okay. And you...
Okay, some people would ask why she didn't also follow him at the same time. And my guess would be that if one of you is going to be hurt, because police always run towards the danger. So police always run towards the danger. So she would be with him, but if he's running towards a danger, they don't want to take them both out. So he runs towards the danger. When his efforts fail, she runs towards the danger. So that would be my best guess. My
you said
best
you
guess.
positioned yourself right in front of the vehicle, is that right?
Yes.
So, did you go out into the roadway itself?
I stood directly in the path of the SUV, which
Okay.
was the entire right lane or north side of the street.
Okay. And did you say anything or gesture in any fashion to the vehicle?
I was just gesturing with my hands to try to get the driver to observe me in the street.
All right. Do you remember saying anything?
Sorry, just
Yes.
for the record, the witness has put both of her hands up with the palms facing out about between waist high and chest high in a stop motion. Go ahead.
Do you remember saying anything?
I don't recall saying anything.
Now, you said your intention was to try and direct the vehicle off onto Buckley Street.
It was.
Was that a possibility from where the vehicle was located when you first saw it?
It was. The vehicle had time to slow down and make that turn.
Okay. And
Liar lines. Liar lines.
you said you...
Everybody else see these? He does this forehead thing where all of these, they're liar lines where he's thinking of lies or he's lying.
You were facing the vehicle head on, correct?
I was, I believe, if not exactly head on, at least, to the side where most of the front of my body would be facing it.
Okay. So you could see it coming, in other words.
Very clearly.
And you could see, because you were able to face the vehicle head on, you were able to see that at some point you needed to step out of the way so you yourself were not struck. Is that fair to say?
Objection. being the witness.
Sustained, please rephrase.
Good one,
As you
Darrell.
stood in the middle of the road, facing the vehicle, did you stay in that position, officer?
I did not. I was very concerned the car was going to hit me.
So what did you do?
I jumped out of the way.
Did you make any efforts to interact with the vehicle in any way?
I believe that I had hit out at the car.
Okay. Were you able to see the driver of the car?
I was.
What did you observe about the driver of the car?
It looked to be an African American male with brown eyes and brown hair.
Ooh.
Did the driver of the SUV
Look
react
at
to your...
look at his face when he is reacting to her testimony as opposed to any of the men who had testified. And I know I'm very ultra, I guess, sensitive to this, but he is very misogynistic. He does not think that she is on his level in any way, which is true, but not in the way he thinks.
presence in any way?
It's not the way you think, Darrell. She's way above
I
you.
observed the driver. He had no expression on his face, and he was looking straight ahead, as if he was looking straight through me.
That is an important piece of information because he loses his soul, his emotion, his humanity, really. And he gets this look on his face. And he always says, I don't want people to say I'm a monster and all these other things. But he looks like a monster. And when he has those temper tantrums and he's looking through or not directly at a person, he definitely has a dead look, like dead eyes, like it from a Stephen King movie.
And that never
Lord.
changed?
No.
Did the driver of the SUV follow your direction and leave the parade route at Buckley?
No, he did not. As a matter of fact, he appeared to speed up.
Are you able to estimate speeds at this location?
Objection, hearsay.
It's not hearsay.
I would estimate the speed to be anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per
That's
hour.
speculation, maybe.
Were you able to see how many people were inside the SUV as it went by you?
I couldn't see the back seat clearly, but I observed only one person in the front of the vehicle.
Okay. And that was that,
Look at his
the
face.
driver, correct?
Correct.
That you just described for us earlier.
Yeah,
Okay.
he is a
I'm
piece
going to
of
show
work.
you an item that's been marked and received as Exhibit 17. And we'll put it up on the screen in front of you first so you can take a look at it, see if you recognize it. So for the record, we've played about the first 5 seconds or 6 seconds of the video. Do you recognize this video, Officer Schneider?
I do.
Do you see yourself in this video?
Yes.
Is it 17
And do
again?
you believe this is a true and accurate representation of your actions on that day?
Yes.
Permission to publish 17, Your Honor?
Yep, it's still
Permission granted,
17.
it's previously been received.
So if you could please point out for the jury your location in Exhibit 17. You can circle on the screen if you wanted to touch screen.
This is me.
And next to you,
That's
to your
Officer,
right?
that's Officer Buttrin.
Okay. At this
So they're
point,
together.
what are you and Officer Buttman
He
doing?
moved when he ran, for sure.
We were, again, providing that traffic and pedestrian control for the intersection.
Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and play this clip. It's 37 seconds long, and we'll just play it through, and then we can stop and ask questions if we need to, okay?
And you'll see in some ways it's got even more evidence behind it. So let me ask you this. Who needs car insurance? And what exactly is it good for? Well, first of all, let's take a quick peek at what a coenzyme is. A coenzyme is any substance
There he goes.
in the body that's there's a car going westbound. Which a chemical reaction.
And she stays, and when he fails, she starts over. Ooh, she gets close too, and he runs. He's fast. He is quick.
Officer Schneider, is that consistent with your recollection of the events?
It is.
I saw in Exhibit 17 at one point you appeared to leave your post on the south side of the road and run into the road. Is that what happened?
Correct.
And the vehicle went past you then?
It did.
Look at his face.
The,
Stop making faces, Darrell. Stop making faces.
At that point, Officer Schneider, did you hear the vehicle honking its horn at all?
I never heard any honking.
Never at any point?
Never at any point.
Okay.
He's going to try to make her a liar out of that because the other guy heard honking. But let me tell you that people's perspective and details in situations that A, go that quickly, and B, are that traumatic, are very different. The perspective is different. The concentration level is different. Her response was behind his response. I don't want to say like slower because it wasn't really slower. It was just secondary to his response, because partners, when you're working in partnership with somebody, that's how it is. Two completely different perspectives. For example, when I was assaulted with my partner, it was two separate situations because the person approached me. She was on the complete other side of the ambulance when she came around. So she had almost 30 seconds where I was the only one involved before she came around. So her perspective on the situation was completely different. I knew I was in trouble. When she came around and realized I was in trouble, that was a completely separate situation. So what I heard and what she heard and what I saw, what she saw, it was two completely different things. And it was the same situation. So his assertion that, you can't remember everything if you don't remember everything is not valid.
I'd also like to show exhibit number 18, so same thing, we're going to preview it for you first before we show it for the jury, okay?
Oh, wait a minute, there's another exhibit. Look at his stupid face. I was hoping to get through her whole testimony. I don't know.
Seconds of that clip to Officer Schneider. Officer Schneider, is Exhibit 18 a true and accurate representation of your actions involving the red SUV on 11/21 of 21?
It is.
Move to admit and permission to publish 18.
Any position, Mr. Brooks?
Objection. What's the relevancy of the video?
The objection is noted, it's overruled, and Exhibit 18 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Just 1 second. I want to see the counter in the corner. Can you close that? Noted. Thank you. So for the record, this clip is 11 seconds in length. Officer Schneider, can you see yourself in this video at this point?
Yes.
Can you please circle yourself so the jury knows what to watch for?
Oh, right there.
Okay. And please clear the screen. All right, we're going to play this video in its entirety now.
Oh my God!
We're not going to show it.
What the? What is that? Come here!
Look at him.
Again, is that the moment where you ran up to the...
Okay. Wow, the sound of that. That sounds like someone's personal video. It also sounds like there's a lot more audio in it. The way he looks at it just creeps me out. How about you?
SUV and tried to stop it?
It was.
Okay. After the SUV had gone by you, at some point were you aware that individuals further down to your west had been struck by the SUV?
Yeah, there was what I would call screaming on the radio.
Police radio?
Correct.
Okay. And you didn't see the SUV actually strike anybody, correct?
I did not see that.
When you heard the screaming and heard of the report of problems to your west, what did you do?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
How is that hearsay?
Initially,
What
I
did
was
you
just trying
do?
I didn't know if there was going to be another vehicle coming because we didn't know what was going on.
We don't have dissociative identity disorder like you do, Darrell. If I am answering a question, what did I do? It's not like I'm going to say, oh, I'm not Officer Schneider. I don't identify. I'm a third party intervener.
So I was trying to get people out of the roadway, and as soon as I heard the screaming on the radio, I began making my way downtown.
Did you encounter any people with injuries?
I did. I was stopped by numerous people who said that their children had potentially been nicked. The worst one was a adolescent female that was laying in the road with her family around her.
Do you know the first name of that adolescent female?
Jesselyn.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, your
The
answer
person
may have
he hits
been
irrelevant.
blocked by Mr. Brooks' objections. Please repeat it.
I do not consent to that name, nor am I that person.
Noted. You may answer.
Jesselyn.
Do you know which group or unit in the parade she was with?
She was in a dance squad.
Okay. Did you attempt to render aid to Jesselyn?
I did.
Were her injuries significant?
They were.
At some point, did you go further westbound on Main Street and try and tend to more individuals?
I walked towards the direction of Mountaintop Coffee, and I was directed to stand guard over one of the deceased.
Do you know the name of that person?
I believed it was Virginia, but I learned later that she was misidentified.
Okay. Who was it that you were standing guard over?
Overruled.
I never inquired the true name of the individual that I ended up being by.
Could you tell which group or unit in the parade that deceased person was associated with?
Overruled.
She was one of the dancing grannies.
Okay, let be very clear to those of you who don't do anything first responding. And those of you who do, you may think that I'm weak. I don't agree. There are many times that you take people to a hospital specifically for traumas, car accidents, falls, work accidents, whatever it is, that you don't know their name. You cut their clothing off. You don't discard it, but you put it into what we used to try to do is put it into a biohazard bag so that we could give it to the nurses, because those are the belongings, and potentially, hopefully, there's a wallet or something. Going through somebody's clothes for their wallet to find their name is not something I was willing to take the time to do many times. If there was somebody on scene extra who could do it, that's fine. If not, we would take those people in without a name. And specifically, people who had injuries, even though you know those injuries have very low recovery rates, or even rates making it to the hospital or even out of the ER, it does not. In fact, that actually gets you moving faster and doing more and doing it to the best of your ability. But you are literally dropping them off. And even though the report takes a long time, when you go back, they still may not know the identity of that person. When I would drop off a person I knew wasn't going to make it, or they were going to call very quickly in the ER, and that means declare them deceased, I did not like the fact that I was dropping them off without a name. Everybody deserves their name. So that is, look at her face. That is, if you're not used to it, I can say used to it, if you're not accustomed to that process, knowing that somebody is going to continue to work on it, there are social workers, there are nurses, other people the police will continue to work on it afterwards. You're leaving that hospital not knowing if that family's ever going to find out, when they're going to find out, how they're going to find out. And it's just it's a lot. It's a lot.
And what would be the purpose in having you stand by with a person who had suffered fatal injuries?
To preserve the scene and relieve a community service officer who was standing there initially.
Okay.
Could do more medical things.
Thank you, Officer Schneider. I don't have any questions beyond that.
Thank you. Any cross, Mr. Brooks?
Yes. Officer Schneider. It would be fair to say from the video footage that was shown that you were standing directly next to
He doesn't
Officer
greet
Bertram.
her.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
You know,
For
the
any
man.
reason would you have, being that you were so close next to him, not heard the same things that he heard?
Objection, I think that calls for
Grounds.
speculation.
Grounds.
Calls for speculation. It's sustained. Next question.
So in other words, why didn't you hear what the man heard? That's what I'm hearing. Maybe I'm too sensitive to this, but I've seen a lot of Darrell's work, and the way he doesn't greet her, he doesn't say, how long have you been in? He doesn't even try to do any of the pleasantries, which I think are just fake anyway, but he's just like, but you were standing right next to him. He heard this. Why didn't you hear? You know, and that is speculation on her part. She didn't hear it. So move on. Moving on.
How long before you saw the approaching vehicle?
Seconds.
I heard radio traffic about it going past the barricades, and I would say it was a couple seconds later that we saw it coming down the street.
Did you observe anyone being struck at that time?
I did not.
Did you observe anyone being struck after the vehicle passed you?
I did not.
Would it be fair to say from the video footage that was shown that the vehicle passed you in maybe a second, if that?
A second to 2 seconds, yes.
Do you think that would be enough time to get a clear description of who was driving the vehicle?
Yes, I do,
And why do you believe that?
because I saw the driver very clearly.
You saw the driver very clearly in 1 second.
Yes, sir.
And do you recall if the driver had hair?
Here.
I do.
Do you recall if the driver was wearing a hat?
I don't recall that.
So how
Do
clearly
you
could it
recall
be?
anything that the driver may have been wearing?
No, I don't.
Do you recall seeing anyone in the back seat?
I couldn't
She
see the
said-
back seat from my position.
She said that.
Why could you not see the back seat?
Because there's front seats in the way.
Were there any tinting to the vehicle that you saw?
Not
Yeah,
that
that-
I saw.
That wasn't the narrative he wanted. That wasn't the sentence he wanted her to say. So then he asked it, which I guess is okay. This is, you know, she concentrated on the face. People concentrate on different things.
So you saw no tinted windows at all on the vehicle?
I do not recall seeing tinted windows.
Would it be fair to say from the video that there was a barricade set up at the cross street of Buckley?
Yes.
Would it be also fair to say that you couldn't turn down Buckley Street because of the barricade?
Would it be fair to say that you went through barricades at the beginning of the parade? Would it be fair to say that you went through barricades at the end of the parade? I wish we would have been
street
able
was
to question
barricaded.
him.
Could you make a turn down the street that was barricaded?
Yes.
You could make a turn,
There was
but it
enough
was
space.
barricaded.
How can you make a turn on a barricaded street? How would you be able to do that?
Do
If
that.
a vehicle were to slow down, the barricade could be moved.
So a vehicle would actually have to stop and
Yeah,
then
Darrell.
make the turn.
Yes, Darrell. Yes. You would have had to stop driving through a location that you shouldn't have been in the first place. How strange is that? How strange. What a concept. Oh, my God.
Were there any law enforcement officers posted at the barricade?
On that side of the street near Buckley, we had a reserve officer, I believe.
Do you recall if any one of those officers or officer attempted to stop the vehicle?
I couldn't tell you about that.
It's not time.
Was there any report of the officer that was standing at that barricade to stop the vehicle?
Again, I couldn't tell you about that.
So to the best of your knowledge, only you and Officer Butchering attempted to stop the vehicle?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
And there were other officers present?
The other individual who was present is not a sworn patrol officer.
Were they law enforcement?
No.
No, they're considered a reserve officer.
Were they wearing any gear that may have identified them as an officer?
I don't recall what that officer or that reserve officer was wearing.
Can we show Exit 17 again? Or Exhibit 17.
You want it published or just shown to the witness?
I want it shown to the witness.
Permission granted.
Actually, can we show it to the whole court?
Permission granted, it's been received.
Well, before you play it, can you pause it? Before you play it, would it be fair to say that at that intersection that has the red light facing towards the camera, that there is in fact someone who appears to be law enforcement standing right there?
Objection vague.
Sustained.
It's faked.
Can you,
Rephrase.
would it be fair to say that someone standing at that intersection that appears to be wearing the same police vest attire that you are wearing?
I can't see.
Objection vague.
Grounds.
Your Honor, Mr. Brooks can use the touch screen on his monitor as well, correct?
Correct. I'm gonna overrule the objection. I think what he was asking is clear enough, so he may answer.
There is an individual on the Buckley side of the intersection wearing a high-res traffic vest.
Is it similar in any way to the vest that you are wearing?
It appears to be so, yes.
So would it be fair to say that the appearance of them wearing the same attire as you, that they would be easily identified as law enforcement?
I would go so far as to say that they would be at least highly visible to people, yes.
Would someone who's not in the law enforcement field possibly for any reason mistake them as law enforcement?
Yes.
Possibly, yes.
Can you
So what's your
play it
point?
just for just a couple of seconds so we can get a clear look at it?
Darrell, are you trying to make the point that there was a law enforcement officer person styled dress person who could have moved the barricade that you're saying you couldn't go through because that wasn't the right barricade to barrel through like an idiot?
Individual I'm referring to.
Exactly how many seconds, Mr. Brooks?
I don't consent to being called that name, but two.
Two
Maybe 2 to 3
seconds.
seconds.
You can't just do 2 seconds.
Then pause at the 3-second mark, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Can you go back a second?
No.
Judge, it's not possible to jump back in
1
1 second increments.
Go
We
back
can
to the
either-
beginning, please.
Right there.
Right there. Okay, yeah.
Ask your question.
Right there. No, he's
Do
testifying.
you know that individual right there?
Right there. You know
I
that
don't
person right
recall
there?
who that was, no.
Did you see them at any time attempt to stop the vehicle or redirect the vehicle?
I did not observe that myself, no.
You can take the exhibit down.
You could take it down. Because I don't want any no more. I'm through with this witness.
You're done with this exhibit?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You can take it down, madam.
Can you put up exhibit 18 for the court?
Pretty cool.
You just want
Pretty
this
cool.
presented, not played at this moment? Just confirming with you.
I'm probably gonna play it too
Why? It's not good for you.
for the entire court.
It's not good for you, Darrell.
Record exhibit 18 is on the screen, so you want to play.
I think we should be marking down how many times he does things that support the prosecution's case.
Mr. Brooks, do you have a question at this
Yeah,
point?
I want to play, Your Honor. If
I
I
want
may.
to play
The
you,
whole
Your
thing.
Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, permission granted.
Oh my God!
Pause it right there. Would it be fair to say that that was just a horn that was heard?
No, I don't hear a horn.
You don't hear a horn.
I do
You know
not
what?
hear
That
a horn.
almost sounded like a band
Can
horn
we
to
start that
me.
from the beginning?
Sure.
For the record, Mr. Brooks.
When did you have
Objection. I do not consent
To
being
being called that
Your
name.
Honor.
Oh my
Nor do I
God.
Identify by that.
That name.
The
That
defendant has
name.
asked the video to be stopped. It was stopped at 4 seconds in. He's requested that it be replayed. Are you going to have the whole thing replayed, or do you want it stopped again at 4 seconds?
Maybe around that same point.
Around that same
I'll wait
point.
till you say stop.
Oh my
then.
God.
Okay.
We'll make a record of it. Go ahead.
Oh my God!
Pause it.
What the?
Would it be fair to say that that was not just a horn?
I didn't hear it
That was
either. Okay, I didn't hear it either. Okay, how many people want to back it up just a little bit? Do it again.
Mr. Brooks can use the touch screen on his monitor as well, correct?
At 6 seconds.
Come on, Darrell.
So would it be any reason that anyone else would have heard a horn?
I don't know.
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Grounds.
Sustained calls for speculation on the part of this witness.
Did you at any time get a chance to read the report by Officer Butcher, who was standing right next to you during this event?
Relevance.
I did not read his report.
Did you have any conversation with him about what he may have observed or heard that evening?
Can you clarify what you mean?
Did you have any conversation
It's the same
with
question,
Officer
Darrell.
Butcher about what he may have observed or heard on that evening?
Okay, by saying it in a
I believe
more
that
patronizing tone, it does not make the question more clear. Did you talk to him? If they were working together, it's highly likely they spoke about, did you see that nut drive through the parade?
at the evening that later after everything had calmed down,
And they probably had a debriefing.
bit.
Yeah,
Did he state to you that he had heard a horn?
that's
beeping
hearsay.
at
That's
any time
hearsay.
During your conversation?
Objection, hearsay.
There you go.
Grounds.
Question.
Grounds.
Oh. Sustained calls for hearsay.
Do you recall what the conversation was about when you talked that evening?
I can't recall specifics, no.
Did you in any way talk about what had happened
horn?
that evening at
horn?
the parade?
Did you hear a horn?
We
Beep beep.
Yeah, it would be about the parade, but I can't, again, tell you specifics of what we talked about.
You don't recall?
I've already answered that.
Liar
But you're
lines.
sure that you had some talks about what you may have seen?
Objection, repetitive.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Sustained. Next question, please.
Just so we're clear for the record,
I'm going to repeat something.
from your recollection, would it be fair to say that Officer Butchering saw the approaching vehicle before
How
you
would she
did?
know?
Objection,
Grounds.
speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained. It calls for speculation on the part of this witness.
He's confused.
Next question.
At what point did you see the vehicle? Once it was past Officer Butchering or before it had passed him?
I saw the vehicle coming from the White Rock location, so it was before the vehicle had even approached Officer Butcherin's location.
Any reason why you didn't move to attempt to stop the vehicle when Officer Butcher?
I knew he was going to ask that question. It's actually not a bad question, but I think I covered it. Let's see what she says.
Indeed.
Yes, we oftentimes in our line of work have people, meaning no ill will, just disregard police barricades and other things. So initially I didn't know if the vehicle was being driven by somebody that was just simply distracted or lost or senile. I had no idea.
So it would be fair to
So to continue the thought, one person goes over, and then if the other person's needed, not
say
everybody.
that at the time you had no idea what was going on with the vehicle and why it was there.
At the time, what I knew was that someone had radioed that a car had disregarded our barricades to keep the parade route closed off.
And you heard this on the radio, correct?
On police radio, yes.
So did you hear a car or did you hear an SUV?
I don't recall the exact words that were used. It was a vehicle.
Would it be fair to say that you just said that you heard a car over the radio?
I don't recall the exact words.
Would it be fair to say that it is extremely hard to compare a car with an SUV?
No.
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
Some people just call vehicles cars. Trucks, cars, SUVs, cars. As a generic thing. Kind of like we call soda Coke. Okay? If it's a cola, we usually call it Coke. Or whatever it is you call it. Some people in some areas call it pop or whatever. But it's a generic name. Like, hey, you guys, or whatever. But
Would you ever mistake a car in an SUV?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled. She may answer.
I think I'm pretty good at knowing the difference.
So when you heard the radio call, were you expecting a car or SUV?
I was expecting a vehicle, red in color, to be coming my direction.
Would it be fair to say that you, before, didn't state the color of the vehicle that you were expecting?
I don't know it. I don't
I think the
know.
question's vague, Your Honor, as
Objection.
to
Grounds.
when she may or may
Grounds.
not.
Mr. Brooks, hold on. Let her state the objection.
Question's vague as to when she may or may not have indicated the color of the car, Your Honor.
Grounds.
I'll sustain the objection. Please rephrase. It's sustained as to the form of the question.
At any time during the radio report, was there any report of the color of the vehicle, as you say, in the report that you heard over the radio?
The exact color of the vehicle over the radio, I do not recall hearing. I know that I saw a red SUV coming from White Rock.
Would it be fair to say that you heard the radio call before you saw the vehicle?
Absolutely, I heard it before I saw it.
So would it be fair to say that you couldn't have known what the color of the vehicle would be and what vehicle is being referred to?
There was only one vehicle on the parade route
That
from
didn't
what I saw.
that didn't belong on it.
Were there any radio reports that the vehicle has struck anyone at that time that you heard?
No, I didn't hear anyone say that the vehicle had struck anyone.
Was there any reports at that time over the radio that you heard of a description of who may have been driving the vehicle?
No, I don't recall a description coming out over the radio prior to me seeing the vehicle come across my path.
So would it be fair to say that the radio report was pretty vague?
Objection argumentative.
Grounds?
Sustained.
Were there any reports that you know of, rather by radio or from people who were present in your area that you were, that they may have heard honking from the vehicle that approached?
Objection speculation.
Grounds?
Overruled. The way it was phrased, he asked if she had any information, so she may answer.
I don't have any information about honking.
Can you recall about what time you saw the approaching vehicle?
I don't know the exact time, no.
Were you injured in any way by the vehicle?
I was not injured.
So it would be fair to say that you haven't filed a claim in this matter, correct?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds?
Overruled. She may answer.
I have not filed a claim for this.
So it would be also fair to state that you are not an injured party in this matter, correct?
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds?
Sustained.
Could you state for the record who subpoenaed you to testify in this matter today?
The state?
And when you say the state, who are you referring to exactly?
The state of Wisconsin?
To the best of your knowledge, being in law enforcement for some time, have you ever had any interaction with the state whatsoever?
Anti
Objection
interaction.
Grounds.
irrelevant. Vague.
Grounds?
Sustained.
Stupid.
Next question.
Did you physically talk to the state about testifying here this morning?
Objection
Grounds?
vague and irrelevant.
Grounds?
Do you mean to ask her if she spoke with the DA's office?
Did she speak to the plaintiff?
I'm Siri, and
Sustained. Next question.
How long have you known the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds?
Sustained. Next question.
Have you read the
I just read a comment from somebody who said about him listening. He can't hear her state the grounds because he's not. But him yelling grounds, is that him trying to get attention back on him because of his narcissistic tendencies, that he absolutely has to have the attention on himself?
complaint in this matter? To your recollection?
I have I believe I've skimmed it over. I haven't read it in its entirety.
Would it be any reason why you didn't read the complaint in its entirety?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
It's irrelevant, yes.
Did you have any idea that you may be called to testify in this matter?
Yes.
I did see it as a possibility, yes.
So it'd be fair to say that if you knew that it was a possibility that you may be called to testify, would it be fair to say that it would be best to acquire all the knowledge that you can acquire before testifying?
No, Darrell, you are not important to her. You are absolutely not important. You are so insignificant.
Objection argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Are you aware that all police departments are funded by the state of Wisconsin?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
If you weren't testifying here this morning, would you be on duty?
Yes.
Yes, there you go. I knew it.
Is that why you came in uniform?
Yes, it is.
So it'd be fair to say that right now you're on the clock,
Yes, I am.
being paid by whom?
The city of
By the
Wisconsin.
city of Waukesha.
Yes.
Is the city of Waukesha in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And once again, Darrell proves jurisdiction.
And
And once again,
who funds the Waukesha Police Department?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
the people
Sustained.
of Wisconsin. Once again, proving your jurisdiction. Ugh. That's what I wish she would have pointed
During your
out.
attempt to stop the vehicle, do you recall the vehicle trying to strike anyone?
Okay, that's what I wish they would have pointed out to him, that he was proving jurisdiction while he was trying to prove his sit cherry picking stuff. Was not as funny as it sounded in my
I
head.
did not see the vehicle deviating in any way. No.
Do you recall it trying to strike anyone?
That's okay. Semantics.
Answered, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Okay.
By you saying that you didn't see the vehicle deviate, can you clarify for the record what that means, in your opinion?
When I saw the vehicle coming,
Now, what she should say is this. I don't know what the intentions of the driver were, but the vehicle maintained a constant area on the road or a constant, trajectory or what. I can't spell that, so I probably shouldn't say it.
towards my direction, it was driving in a straight line.
A straight line. There you go. Good. Well said.
So would it be fair to say that that does not clarify what you mean by deviate?
Objection.
No, that exactly
Argumentative. Sustained.
exactly does. You just don't know what deviate means. Do you know what deviant means?
To the best of
We learn later that he does know what a deviant is.
as far as you recall,
I'm losing it. I'm losing my religion here.
you didn't see or hear that the vehicle has struck anyone. That be fair to say?
Has been asked and answered, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Do you know of any cross streets before you attempted to stop the vehicle that may have been barricaded?
We had barricades up in the area of White Rock Avenue. I wasn't up there at any point in time, so I couldn't give you the exact location of every barricade.
But you do know that there were pretty much barricades throughout the parade route. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, we needed to secure it.
Do you know of any attempts to stop the vehicle before it came to the area that you were in?
Yeah.
Well, I
No.
personally observed Officer Butchrin attempt to stop the vehicle.
Do you know of any attempts to stop the vehicle before
How does that help you,
the vehicle
Darrell?
approached your area?
Doesn't help you. That doesn't
Based
help
on
you.
the radio traffic, I heard it sounded like officers had attempted at that time, but I didn't see it, so I couldn't say for certain.
So it would be fair to say that you don't recall.
No, that's not fair.
Grounds.
Fair to say, Your Honor, it's a
Grounds.
misstatement of her testimony.
Rounds.
Sustain it mischaracterizes the testimony.
Liar. He's making me angry now. So that means you don't recall. No, means I never knew. What a liar. Writing with your little inside of the pen because nobody will give you an actual pen.
So to the best of your knowledge, Officer Butchrin was the first person that you observed attempting to stop the vehicle,
Yeah.
That's correct.
and then yourself,
That is correct.
with no injuries.
Can you clarify, please?
You, Officer Butchrin, or you were not injured in your attempt to stop the vehicle.
Is he trying to imply that because he didn't injure anybody so far that they just should have let him careen through the parade? Is that what he's trying to imply? Make me angry
I
now.
believe that's correct.
This is getting less fun.
You believe that was correct?
I don't recall Butchrin complaining of any injuries, so I couldn't say for certain.
Were you yourself injured?
I have already answered that.
I like the way she said that.
You stated that you skimmed through the complaint for this matter. Would that be fair to say?
Objection asked and answered. We need to move on to a new topic, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained, it's been asked and answered. Need a new topic,
What-
Mr. Brooks, under 90611. I'm directing you to move on.
I'm just trying to find out what would be the reason not to read the whole complaint. That's all.
You already asked that.
Completely irrelevant, Your Honor.
So, grounds.
There's no question.
He's got all those women there with way more power than him, and he can't handle it. Not at all.
Did you hear of any incident at Frame Park?
Objection asked and answered.
I didn't ask this witness.
Overruled, she may answer.
I did answer that earlier in my testimony.
You may answer it again,
Okay.
please.
I heard that there was a man knife call, is how it came out, potentially in Frame Park.
At any point that evening, did you follow up on that report?
I did not.
Do you, to the best of your knowledge, do you know if, are you aware of any officer following up on that report?
That would be speculation.
The
wouldn't
officers
it?
that were dispatched to that call, of which I don't recall who they were, would have been in charge of that.
Yes.
Did you learn any information about a knife being found?
Okay. How would she know? That wasn't part of. That's like asking me a question about a call that another medic went on. I wouldn't know. I wasn't there.
I did not.
To the best of your knowledge, do you recall any domestic dispute coming over the radio?
What point in time?
The evening during the parade,
During the parade. The evening during the parade.
November 21st.
I don't recall specifically the terms domestic being used over the radio in any way, no.
To the best of your knowledge, do you recall a vehicle being found on Maple Street?
Yes, I do recall.
Did you respond there directly, or do you know if, well, let me take that back. Did you respond there directly?
No, I did not.
Thank you. So she doesn't have anything to do with that either.
Do you recall what that report was saying over the radio?
Objection vague.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question. It's also beyond the scope of the direct exam. Unless you have information she was involved in that. Mr. Brooks, move on.
And what would you estimate the speed was of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
I don't recall asking the speed.
This witness has answered about speed multiple times, but if you want her to state it again, overruled. You may answer.
Say it again.
I said approximately 30 to 40 miles per.
To the best of your knowledge, would there be any reason why an officer standing right next to you would not estimate it at that speed?
Objection argumentative.
Grounds.
It's argumentative and it calls for speculation on the part of this
Thank
witness.
you.
So it's sustained.
Perspective.
Do you know of any officers that was in your vicinity that gave a speed estimate of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
No more further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
Very briefly, Officer Schneider, on cross-examination, you told Mr. Brooks that you saw the driver of the vehicle quite clearly. Do you remember that?
Objection. I do not consent to being called that name, and I would respectfully ask not to be identified with an unknown individual.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Go ahead. May I?
Do you see the driver of the red SUV in the courtroom here today, Officer Schneider?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. She may answer.
I'd ask Mr. Brooks be directed to remove his mask so that Officer Schneider can identify him, please.
Objection. I never heard an answer to the question.
It has not been answered. Mr. Brooks, please remove your mask.
Look at his face. Look at his eyes.
Thank you.
That
Officer Schneider is the driver of the
intimidating
red SUV
try.
that you've just described for this jury present in this courtroom today.
Objection.
Yes.
Hearsay.
Can you please point him out by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He is seated over here at the table wearing a gray suit.
That's the man you saw driving the red SUV as it sped past you?
Yes, it is.
Very strategic asking on
Thank
redirect.
you. I don't have any other questions.
Because now she's going to be.
On the issue of identification only, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do.
Oh, God.
You did state that you saw the driver of the vehicle and the driver had hair, and you
Here.
stated brown eyes and
Here.
brown hair, correct?
Here.
That's
At
what I
here?
said.
Yes. That's what she said.
You also stated
She looked
that
into
you
your
could
dead
see
eyes.
somewhat what they was wearing by hat, or
That's incorrect. I did not say that.
so you were able to see the driver of the vehicle's entire head.
I was able to see hair, which is what I have said previously.
Would it be fair to say that the alleged defendant that you just identified on the record for the court
Alleged.
does not have hair?
Does not have hair. Yeah, you do. You got hair, sorta.
You have shaved
hair.
your head. Yes.
You got sorta hair.
Would it be fair to say
Oh my
that
god.
you have not seen the alleged defendant shave his head?
The emotional gymnastics of this trial. Oh my god. No wonder I have to do it in small chunks.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer. I presume you mean the act of.
The act of.
No.
I have not witnessed him actively shaving his head.
So would it be fair to say that, to the best of your knowledge, you do not know, in fact, if the alleged defendant shaved his head?
I am looking at the individual who was driving the SUV, and he now has a shaved head.
Thank you.
That doesn't answer the question.
Yes, it does.
Next question.
You just don't like the answer.
And you stated eye color, correct?
Yes.
Can you see the alleged defendant's eye color from where you are sitting?
I cannot.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
You didn't do anything, Darrell.
May this witness be excused, Your Honor?
She may.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to take our lunch break now. I have information that the lunch for the jurors will be up in about 10 minutes. So rather than start a witness, just to take a break around that time, we'll take our lunch now. It will be at least an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, but I'd ask the parties be back in an hour. And then also advise the jury and Mike and Pete what time I need them back. All right, thank you, everyone. I'll rise for the jury.
All right. We made it. We made it through an entire direct and cross-examination with redirect and redirect and everything. I'm so proud of myself. Wow, he is such a monster. Like, and how much of what he does actually helps the prosecution. That amazes me. That truly, truly does. I really appreciate everybody. I love everybody who's subscribed and who comments. I love reading the comments. Brings me back, makes me laugh, points out things that I don't see. Love it. So please like, comment, share. It helps out. And really liking that, doing this a lot. It helps me get through what happened too. And even though it didn't happen directly to me, a lot of this stuff really affects me, and I like to be able to like muscle through it and see it in a different light. Okay, so everybody have a very safe and nice, I hope your holiday was great and blessed. And thank you very much for joining.